Welcome to the PSP Sports World show, hosted by the Pro Sports Podcasters, Corbett Arond, Nee Wallace Bruce, and Justin Williams. So, this is our first episode, and we want to do something a little different, something you wouldn't see on every other sports show YouTube channel. What we're going to do here is actually play you a small excerpt from a discussion we had a little while back, right? It was before Team Canada played Team Panama in World Cup qualifying. Mm-hmm. And we were actually all together on our podcast awaiting an athlete to interview who did not show. This happens on occasion.
For the second time, this athlete.
Okay. And whenever that happens, we just kind of start talking about whatever's on our mind at the time. And that day, it was World Cup. So we want you to listen to that first, and then we'll get into our discussion. Right?
There we go. And what about Canada versus Panama tonight? It's a crucial game in the World Cup qualifier.
Well, considering that we tied, or the U.S. lost, which was great, but Panama had beaten them, thus leapfrogging us, this is a must-win game. Because for structurally, I don't want them to go to a playoff round, personally, for Canada. I would love to see them come out guns a-blazing, scoring goals. And I think that's what we need to do. I don't even know who our lineup is. I won't be released until later. But
did we not tie Jamaica?
We did.
Yeah, in Jamaica.
That's embarrassing, man.
We're the kings of tying right now.
It is. Jamaica's not that far along when it comes to World Cup soccer.
I mean, you say that, but they just come off a game against Mexico at altitude. I think if they come away from this international break with 7 points out of a potential 9, I think that's a success.
Yeah, you're right there. You got to figure they were probably exhausted going into that game. Mm-hmm. They weren't 100% fit, and that could be part of the reason. But that's a game that I think Canada needs to take full points from.
Yeah,
from now on, right?
Yep.
The tie with Canada is a huge kind of win for Jamaica, really.
So Canada's ranked 51st and Jamaica's ranked 59th. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. However, Panama's ranked 69th. So Canada should, in theory, slap them up.
Hold on. The FIFA World Rankings are a joke. Man.
Oh, they are 100%. But I'm okay with
They're
that.
A total joke.
Listen, Canada, like 3 years ago, was 200 and something. And then we got Davis and Davey, and all of a sudden we're like 50s. And I'm like, all right, cool. Is that how that works?
I used to get such a laugh out of the rankings going in the World Cups. I'd look at the breakdowns of the groups in the world rankings, and I just laugh. I just laugh because there are teams that are ranked far lower than they should be. Mm-hmm. Only because they play a regular schedule against very tough teams. Exactly. And then there are teams that are ranked far higher than they should be because all they do is play fluff year in, year out.
It's so funny. I remember, when Germany won the World Cup in 2014, I was reading on, I think it was Twitter at the time, an article had come out kind of just reevaluating the ranking system. And a lot of people were upset because Germany won the World Cup, but they were ranked, I think, second or third. And I was like, what? And Argentina was still ranked first. And I was like, interesting. Okay. There was a bit of an outcry there. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, Germany is the first nation outside of Qatar to qualify for the World Cup.
Which I have an issue with regarding that.
Outside of Qatar?
Yeah, Qatar's hosting, so they kind of do have to qualify.
I like how you added that in there.
I'd love it if Qatar, just
didn't qualify
for their own.
No, just didn't host. Just didn't host. Don't even host it.
I'll say this though: they have a chance to put on a phenomenal show.
Right,
they have a chance.
They have a chance, right? If they do it right, it could be a phenomenal show, but it could be a complete shit show if they do it wrong.
Of course.
Now that's a good point. So, in terms of doing it wrong, what would that look like?
No air conditioning.
Okay, no, they say they're gonna do that.
They say, right? It's execution too, because things are supposed to be top notch in Sochi. Mm-hmm. Remember that shit show?
Yeah, I was too young. No, I remember. Yep, I remember that.
The rooms that had no running water, toilets without seats.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. I mean, Qatar has the money; they've got more than enough money, but it's just going to come down to what kind of an emphasis do they put on it? I'm not sure what this is for them. I don't know if this is an advertisement of Qatar, if this is a chance to be taken seriously on the world stage in soccer. Like, I'm not sure what it is for them.
It's both. I mean, this has been something they've been doing for a number of years in Asia, trying to, I guess, move up the ranks in football, men's football. You don't hear about the Qatari women's team.
Now, hold on. Are there any major soccer franchises, any clubs that are owned by Qatar money?
PSG.
PSG's owned by them.
Wait, let me double check. Yeah, pretty sure it's PSG.
Okay, so that's a definite tie-in as to why they'd want to have it there and then maybe draw more money interested in buying other clubs, right?
No, I think here's the thing. One day the oil's going to run out. We know this. So you got to...
Look at Venezuela.
Dubai started doing this years ago with the airport and other attractions. It's about trying to get people to come for other things. And I'll say there's also a political element. I'm not going to lie. I do think that by using sports, they are trying to deflect attention away from other misgivings that go on. And that's even more so when it comes to Saudi Arabia when they recently bought out Newcastle United. I think that's completely what they would call sports washing.
Yeah.
That's a discussion for another day. So to answer your question, PSG is owned by Qatar. And yeah, they've been pumping a lot of money into the national sports. The football team, they've hosted a World Athletics Championship. They want to host an Olympics, a Summer Olympics in the future. These are all things they're trying to do to boost the country in terms of sports.
Yeah, and image.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say I'm a fan.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of it at all.
Yeah, every Asian Cup, I just get annoyed.
I was annoyed that Qatar won.
There we go.
Well, those Qatarians can play soccer, buddy. I can't even say it with a straight face.
I just felt me roll his eyes. Like I heard it. Mm-hmm. Like the crust still in his eyes from this morning just fell out as he rolled them back.
Qatarians from around the globe.
Yeah.
The only team better than them are the North Koreans.
Before we get into our discussion, before we get into it about the World Cup qualifying, I just want to say for those of you who have no clue who we are, who don't know who the pro sports podcasters are, who have never heard our podcast, that's what we're all about. We're the pro sports podcasters. Kobe.
Me. Justin.
And you can listen to our podcast on pretty much any of the podcast apps. Just look up Pro Sports Podcasters. You'll find us, and we literally cover every single sport out there.
We covered fencing one time.
Fencing.
Okay.
But today's not about that. Today is the inaugural show. So let's get right into it with the World Cup. Neil, get us going.
Yeah, so as you heard with that excerpt, we were talking about Canadian national team, and you two fine gentlemen were born in Canada, so you must be loving life right now because we're at the end of 2021. We're past the halfway stage of qualifying in the CONCACAF section, and lo and behold, Canada's on top of the table, right?
Undefeated on top of the table, yes.
So in case you don't know, viewers, this 2022 qualifying section for CONCACAF, there's 8 teams that are in the final stage, and the top 3 go directly through to the Qatar for 2022, and the 4th place team will go to a inter-conference qualifying section, qualifying playoff, which will be in 2022 when FIFA decides the draw for that.
Yeah, that's something we're really familiar with, is that final qualifying knockout stage that we happen to generally lose every single time. So like Justin had mentioned in the excerpt you heard, we do not want to go to that knockout stage. We want to be in the top 3 of CONCACAF and move right on, and it looks like that's going to be the case.
Right. So we're at the top of the table and we're undefeated. So we have 4 wins and 4 draws. Right now, mind you, we do have tough competition coming up. Like we have to face the States again, and we're going to face Jamaica, who apparently is giving us a hard time, and is giving everyone a hard time, and we don't know why. So I don't know if we're going to remain undefeated. Although if we do, I'm buying everyone poutine. If Canada goes undefeated, poutine on me, including your dog.
There you go.
I'll be honest, I could care less if we go undefeated. I just want us to qualify.
Same.
That's it. As long as we qualify, although it would be nice to qualify in a higher position, because then generally speaking, you find yourself with weaker opponents when the groups are drawn. That isn't always the case. I'm half Dutch. I know what it's like to be in the group of death every single time. But generally speaking, the higher you qualify, the better chance you have of facing weaker opponents.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Dutch soon. But Canada, one thing to look at here, being undefeated is neither here nor there, as you say. It's the seeding will help, hopefully, with the groups, should they get to the final rounds in Qatar. But the one thing I like is the fact they've only conceded 5 goals.
Yeah.
Okay, from 8 games, them and the US have only conceded 5 goals. Teams like Mexico have conceded 7. So the key now for Canada is just stay ahead of Mexico and Panama. If you lose, they play the US in Canada, so that will help. Because they last played the US in the US, and I think they're going to point from that. So the key here is just hold serve at home.
Yeah.
100%.
And the rest will take care of itself.
What impressed me most also about Canada is we lost Alphonso Davies for that one game against the States. So, yes, we were in America's territory, but we were without our best player.
Yeah.
So, when the Roadrunner is back on our side, which he is, obviously was a huge factor in the Mexico game, I'm confident that we'll be able to at least get that other goal anytime.
Now, just staying with Mexico, because they played a lot of qualifying games in Toronto, which the weather's not as harsh. But we're in November. They deliberately forced the Costa Rica and Mexico games to Edmonton because they knew that those opponents would struggle in the snow.
That's right.
Do you know how cold it was in Edmonton that game?
I heard it was minus 11.
Minus 22 with the wind chill.
Minus 22 with the wind chill. So my question is this: why haven't you guys been doing this earlier?
Because Canadians are nice.
Yeah, you need to stop that.
I'm telling you, that's what it is. That's what it is. And they also like the idea of being in a big market, but the reality is when it comes to soccer, there really isn't a big market in Canada. The stadiums are all the same size. Doesn't matter whether you're going to play in Toronto or play in Edmonton, you're still going to get 50,000 people. So there is no big market.
Correct.
And they sold out in Edmonton, so that wasn't a problem. But I think the biggest issue is, it's you know what, we don't want to force them to play in negative weather, but look what it did for us.
Yeah, I think
We were dominant.
100%.
Right? We were dominant.
I think against Mexico, against any of those nations, if there's a playoff, you go to Edmonton, go to Yellowknife or Whitehorse.
Yeah, like for our fair weather friends who don't have to endure harsh winters like we have here, minus 22, it's difficult to chew gum. Okay, that's how cold that is, right? It could be difficult to chew chiclets. So try playing soccer in that. Only Canadians can do it.
Exactly. Now, to further your point about us dominating the game, if you look at the stats straight up, so Mexico had 59% possession, while Canada only had 41%. Now, I was watching that game, and Mexico had a lot more accurate passes. That's because nobody was running very far, and they're like stopping in the cold and taking that pass. So they were like shimmying up. Meanwhile, you have like Alphonso Davies, Kyle Larin, and David just running the gauntlet up for that huge triangle they were doing. So yeah, we had possession less, and Mexico did create more chances, but they were playing it safe.
Right.
Well, I mean, the chances they created were at the end of the game.
Right,
oh my God!
When the game was gone,
It was over.
Yeah.
When Canada decided we just need to hold our lead, and
we subbed everyone out,
and we take the points.
Yeah.
So I don't even look at that as having the majority of the ball or the majority of the chances. That was just desperation time.
Oh, 100%.
That was garbage time in football. Right?
yeah, that's what you need to do. And I'm sure the Mexicans were feeling the cold air in the national anthems. They would have just been struggling. I know they wanted to train indoors in the lead up, and the local clubs in Edmonton just said, "No, that's home advantage." When the whole city, the whole nation gets behind it, that's what you want.
Do you think the Mexico national team stayed to watch a Calgary Flames game or Edmonton Oilers game?
No.
I don't think so.
I would say not.
Get the heck out of there. They want to go back to their clubs in Europe.